What is going on, everyone? It is James, aka the Comic Raider here, bringing back Raiders Rants, where I'm just gonna rant about some titles that I've read over the last year or so. Um, I'm gonna start from the beginning, so memory won't be as great. So hopefully, in time, these will get better and better as I remember the story better, because it'll be more fresh on my mind. Um, but I kind of just wanted to, go over some stuff. Say, hey, I love this series. I didn't like this one. I've got a lot to cover. And there's definitely, it's not all going to be sunshine and rainbows. There's going to be some ones that I didn't like. I'm going to try to make it as spoiler free as possible. My intent here is to get you to want to read it, not just, oh, I cover everything and now you don't have to. Um, and so, yeah, so let's just jump right into it. One of my earliest reads last year was a very, very hyped series, Uncanny X-Force by Rick Remender. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, but super, super hyped. And I'm an omnibus collector. Omnibus is out of print. It's getting reprinted, but I couldn't wait that long. So I ended up just picking up the trades on it, and from instocktrades.com, of course. And I was like, all right, I know the team. I know all the characters, with the exception of Phantom X, who I had only heard of probably through, I think he had a Marvel Legends that was released. And other than that, I had no idea who he was. Um, and so I knew the characters, I knew who they were, but I didn't know much about them other than Wolverine and Deadpool. So the team itself, is Deadpool, Wolverine, Phantom X, Psylocke, and Archangel. And there's going to be a ton of other characters that get put into this book, but that's basically the team, which is kind of like we can call it like a hit squad, an assassin squad, very secretive, people who will get the job done, right? Wolverine, Deadpool, they're not afraid to get their hands dirty. So uh, it pretty much starts off with they're going to take down Apocalypse. Um, Now, there's a lot more to the story as to Apocalypse himself, but just the battle with him and everything that occurs and the way that it goes down really sets the tone for the entire series. The way in which they handle the mission and just everything like that. And it is amazing. I'll see if I can find. And the art in here, the one thing that I prefer in stories is when I can get continuous art. This one does jump around quite a bit from all these different artists. And so I'm not a huge fan of that. But all in all, I mean, it doesn't distract you too much from the fact that the story is just amazing and violent, and it's just awesome. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find. I want to find a page that shows you the violence without the spoilers. So, I mean, here's just an idea of what we're getting at. Can focus. No shortage of blood and guts and body parts coming apart and just all of it. And that's throughout the whole series. And that's what I really liked. You have this badass team. They need to be badasses in the story, and they need to do some brutal things, and this book is brutal. So you go from Apocalypse, which is an amazing start to the story, and then you're like, oh, okay, I understand why this is as good as, why everyone says it's that good. Then you get an introduction into Deathlock, and they go over, I think it was called Deathlock Nation, and so kind of he jumps into the story now. It then leads you down a road to entering the Age of Apocalypse, and they spend quite some time there. And well, before they get there, actually, I want to talk about this as I'm flipping through. There's a scene, for those who have read the book, you know what I'm talking about, but there's a part with Magneto, and it's Magneto, I won't spoil it, but it's Magneto pretty much finding out about this secret squad, and he gives Wolverine a mission, a very personal mission, and just the emotion in that scene, and in, as the mission plays out and everything, again, is another tone setter, and it's just like, wow, like what he makes him do and everything, and the way in which it's written and handled, like, it hits you in the feels for sure. And it's stuff like that that made me really, really love this book. And so then you get into the Age of Apocalypse. This, in my opinion, I think is where it started getting kind of long for me. I did enjoy it. I've never read the Age of Apocalypse series when it originally came out or anything like that. So I was familiar with it to a sense. And then they jump into the Dark Angel saga. And so Volume 1 has quite a few storylines in it. And they're all really, really good. Volume 1 made me instantly be like, okay, I understand exactly why everyone hypes it the way that they do. So I was like, boom, let's jump into Volume 2 and let's keep it going. So I get into Volume 2, which was, that one was 1 through 19, and this is 20 through 35. And now you have, there's a character from Age of Apocalypse who carries over and now joins them for the rest of the book. I think it's for the rest of the book. And it's really, Volume 2 is where it kind of really got long for me. They're going to deal with some stuff from the first mission. They're going to deal with some aftermath from some of the parts that were previously in the book. And that's where it really, really started to drag on. The art got kind of weird for a couple of issues too at this point. And I won't say that I lost interest because it was still good enough of a story to keep me entertained, but Volume 2 is definitely not as good as Volume 1 was, in my opinion. Not even close. I think towards the end it does start to pick back up, but it still doesn't really catch what Volume 1 did. So I will just say that, but you have to just finish it out at that point. I mean, come on now. Now, some of the things I'm going to say about the writing, besides the rest of the storyline, is they're going to, like I said, the introduction to all the different characters from X-Men to Age of Apocalypse to X-Force. In Volume 2, they go over the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. When you fight Apocalypse, you also deal with the Horsemen, who are badass in Volume 1. And so there's a lot of introduction to all these different characters, and it's what made it really cool, is because I wasn't familiar with a bunch of them, and so you start to get more familiar with them. For example, for me, it was definitely, Archangel and Psylocke. I know so many people that love her, but I just didn't really know much about her, and this series tells you a lot about her, and I was like, damn, she is badass for sure. Although my favorite character from reading this ends up being Phantom X. He is unapologetic, arrogant, just arrogant, cocky mofo. But he talks the talk and he walks the walk, and he's badass in a bunch of scenes. And there's a love story that goes on in between Volume 1 and 2. Kind of covers the whole span of the book. So there is that emotional connection that they put in here too. And just, I'm telling you, you're gonna read it, and you're gonna fall in love with this Phantom X dude. And he really helps to make the book. So all in all, does it live up to the hype? Yes. I see why everyone has it hyped as much as they do. Now, like I said, I read it in 2 volumes, so I kind of judge it in the 2 volume sense as opposed to one big story. So it's kind of like, if you made a movie and the first movie was amazing and the sequel wasn't as good, that's kind of how this was. Volume 1 for me was just, I was blown away. And then Volume 2 kind of felt like it took quite a while. I got through it a lot slower than I did Volume 1. But throughout the whole thing, I mean, it's still great writing. You have great characters. You have violence and action, and it really It really, really was a great series, and I do highly recommend it. I would say, does it live up to the hype in the sense of if you're an omnibus collector and you're gonna drop like 200? I think last time I checked, which was a while ago, on an omnibus for it. Heck no. Um, do you overpay on the issues for it? No, I don't think it was. It wasn't. It wasn't mind blowing like that. But do I think it's worth picking up? Yes. If you can find all the issues, or if you want to get the trades, I definitely feel like the trades are worth it. Now, again, I got them off of InStockTrades.com. They're 35 and 40 bucks. That's not what you're probably gonna pay on InStock Trades if they're there still. But I would have paid that. That I would definitely have paid for the 2 volumes. It is worth it in that sense. So this was a great story. I do highly recommend it. It does live up to the hype. Check it out if you're a fan of just great story and action. If you care about the X-Men in any type of way, this will definitely make you fall in love with them more. And if you're like me and you weren't familiar with half the characters, that's a good thing. Because this book will make you really fall in love with some characters that you weren't really aware of before then. And that's what great stories do. So, that's pretty much going to do it for me as far as this one goes. I will record a few more and drop them out slowly but surely and go over some more titles. And like I said, give me some time to remember these a little better. I'll get a little more in-depth as time goes on. Try to make them shorter. I kind of want these to just be, as quick as I can, just me going over stories. But this was a long one. It was a good one, though. Highly recommended. So, Uncanny X-Force? Yes. Check it out. And thank you for viewing Raiders Rants. Make sure you give the Comic Book Fiend Club page a like and follow and comment and let me know what you thought. Let me know if you've read it. Let me know if you're going to read it now. And once you do, hit me up and let's talk about it. So, thanks and see y'all later.